So use My name is Peter Shao. I'm the founder and CEO of Immortals. My name is Peter Shao. I'm the founder and CEO of Immortal Studios. I'm also the son of Xiao Yi, the American Puma, one of the greatest voices of the wuxia genre. In fact, I'm sitting here today in the Xiao Yi library where many of his memorable works were created. Even though my father passed away before fulfilling our dream to bring wuxia to the 21st century, the time has come for me to continue in this legacy. Our first release, The Adept, is a story of redemption and homecoming about a modern woman being trained to be a hero in the Shaolin Kung Fu tradition. Her journey to bring her family back together with a pop star parallels competing martial clans and the unifying powers of Great Qi, the underlying energy of it all. So this is just the beginning. As I reawaken the hero within me to go on this immortal adventure, I want to invite you along.
You lot finally decided to show up. So, I guess you heard the news then, eh? All these soups are nothing but a bunch of and the company that made them lost control of the biggest, most powerful one of all. Homelander. Oi, look at me. I'm a brat in spandex, and I think I'm so important. Zap, pow. You get the drift. If you don't know by now, name's Butcher, Billy Butcher. And me and my team, the boys, work off the books for your lot at the CIA to keep these w***ers in check. Vought American, those greedy, fat, soulless, arrogant pricks bit off way more than they could chew with this one. They've been pumping babies full of Compound V, turning Goo-Goos and Gagas into superpowered like Black Noir, A-Train and Queen Maeve. Well, not even them will be able to stop Homelander. At least not by themselves. You all will need to recruit an army to take down that megalomaniac slag, Homelander. I've worked it out with the boys in the CIA to give you some resources, including where these blokes are, some blackmail on them, cash, missions, even some Compound V. Your job is to convince these wankers to join your team by bribing them, blackmailing them, or just plain beating the out of them. Watch out though. Some of these twits won't come easily, and you'll have to worry about the other agents as well, thinking they want the glory of taking down Homelander. Speaking of which, to be clear, if you lot can't take down Earth's mightiest in time, we're all
Hello and welcome to Wizard World Virtual Experiences. I'm Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics. We are streaming to you live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, bringing you that Comic-Con life to the comfort of your home with these free industry panels in addition to paid exclusive experiences, including one-on-one private video chats with celebrities, custom recorded messages, autographs, all on sale at wizardworldvirtual.com. And they will be so throughout the week. So no matter when you're checking out all our slew of panels, you can always sign up for these lifetime or once in a lifetime experiences with your favorite cast members. Also, don't forget to check out signed memorabilia and works of art from our favorite artists and vendors, like the guys on this panel, from previous virtual experiences and physical conventions at wizardworldvault.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to bring to this virtual stage crowdfunding in a year without conventions. Joining me tonight, ladies and gents, we start off with Miss Ashley V. Robinson. Hello. How are you?
Hi, I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Just for those that are brand new to you, which should probably be like two people, who are you and what do you do?
I am a Canadian hobbit living and working in the United States. You may know me from hosting the Geek History Lesson podcast. We have almost 350 episodes. So if you need something free to do in the pandemic, download Geek History Lesson. It is a great, great time. I do that with my partner, Jason Inman, who I also collaborate with on the Ringo nominated YA series, Jupiter Jet. The second volume, Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio, just came out in comic stores. Woo!
We should actually be seeing that circle around on the stream here. So
nice.
yes.
We are also Ringo Award losers of Science, the Elements of Dark Energy, also from YA. And you also may know me if you ever visit Twitter marketing. I'm the face of podcasting right now.
Hey, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Next up, coming up to, I guess, my left, we got Robert Powers. Yo, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Excellent, excellent. Tell people who you are and what you do, man.
Yeah, I'm Robert Powers. I am the director of strategy for a new content studio called Immortal Studios. Immortal, we want to be the global home for wuxia. That might be unfamiliar to your ears, but it's probably familiar to your eyes. It's very broadly, wuxia is martial arts fantasy. It's got its ancient roots in China, but really has had a profound impact on modern pop culture. Anything from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon to The Matrix and even Star Wars. So what we're doing is we're creating an interconnected universe of martial arts fantasy. We released our first comic book, The Adept, which is here behind me and I think popping up around here someplace.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we launched this campaign in June. We funded in 3 hours. This book came out in last October. And really excited to talk about it here today. Thanks for having us.
I love it. Absolute pleasure. Next up, we got my man, TJ Sterling. What up, TJ?
Hey guys, what's going on? Pleasure to be here. Again, I'm TJ Sterling, president lead artist of a company called Ray Comics. We had our very first Kickstarter in August and it had some incredible numbers, some great support. So just happy to be here to talk about Kickstarter and all the cool stuff that I learned during the whole pandemic. Not being at cons thing, which has been really rough and weird and enlightening at the same time.
Of course, of course. Now, John Ken, who wants to go first? I don't want to get in trouble.
You go for it.
Okay, Ken Levin is here, ladies and gentlemen. The man, the myth, the legend.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm affiliated with the first chain of companies. We started First Comics when there was only Marvel and DC. And I've been the publisher for the last 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
We have First Entertainment, which is a management company of high-end writers, including Max Allan Collins, Dan Schaefer, and my longtime friend, Garth Ennis. We've set up a number of features and television shows, including all of the Hellboy movies, Road to Perdition, Wanted, The Scribbler, Preacher, which did 4 years on AMC. And I was an executive producer of that. Quarry on HBO Cinemax. And Max and I were executive producers of that. And currently a show called The Boys. I set that up. I'm an executive producer. My attachment to The Boys began when I set up the publishing at DC Comics, which lasted 3 issues before somebody finally read it and said, we can't publish this. We published Superman, for God's sake. And Garth just went nuts and said famously in my ear, "What did they expect? I'm Garth Ennis." And I said, yeah.
Real point.
You know, say bad things about him, or if you give me a week, I'll have all the rights back, including television. And Dynamite picked it up. Dynamite Entertainment has done a brilliant job with it, I think, and is currently doing, I guess you would call it the sequel, The Boys, which is an 8 miniseries Garth wrote called Dear Becky. I think they're on issue 7. And about a year and a half ago, before COVID affected all of us, as we were talking before we started in different ways, we started a gaming company called First Games. And John, in my lower left, is the head designer. And we started working on The Boys, brought in some other designers, brought in some consultants, brought in some professionals, and everything was great. And all of a sudden COVID hit. So not only could we not do our Kickstarter, we couldn't really do any play testing.
Right.
And so everybody got creative, and I'm sure we'll get into a little of that. And we are right now at the tail end of our Kickstarter. We have 6 more days. It's gone brilliantly. The comments have been really enlightening, and we've responded to on the fly. And the best thing is, the Boys is some great IP, but that doesn't make a great game.
Very true.
We don't want to sell just something because we've got great IP. The only reason to do it was to preserve everything we've been able to do with the Boys, including television with Eric Kripke's team. I think they've been brilliant. And so we're real happy with the game and the Kickstarter, and feel free to check it out. You can even play test it with John or some of the others on Tabletop Simulator. I don't know. I get bored.
We're going to jump into that because we're definitely going to play that soon. And John, I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself beyond what your dad just said.
Sure. Yeah, I'm John Levin from the same town as my dad, or at least when I grew up. And I built this game with every intention to preserve the integrity of the themes and the values that I've always found Garth was hammering, and then also, especially in this book, the main themes that he was doing. And then we featured Derek Robertson's art as much as we could. But before all that, we spent a good 8 months building, me and my team, just the absolute most fun game we could.
That's awesome.
The people that complain about not having the minis they want, we decided that's not what we wanted to do. We didn't want to do anything for cash. We wanted to make a fun game, and that's what we get from everyone. It's fun, it's addicting, it's nuts, and it's beautiful. It's it's a lot of Derek Robertson. It's a little bit of McRae, and
right.
There's a couple others, and it's just a great time, and
love that.
Obviously, as he should be, really tough to beat.
Oh yeah, of course. And
so,
for those of you that are watching, we'll have links to that active Kickstarter in the chat going up, so don't feel like you're going to miss out. We'll definitely be talking about that. Let's jump into this. First and foremost, let's frame this correctly. As we call this the crowdfunding in a year without conventions, how many conventions on average do you do in a year? I know many of you from the Comic-Con circuit. So on average, what is your output when it comes to cons? And TJ, let's start with you.
I do about 15 a year. So all across the country, it's basically been the bread and butter of the business for a long time. Last 5 years that I actually started, and loved every bit of it. Loved meeting people, loved getting to know my fellow creators and colleagues. And for it all to be kind of taken away was definitely a weird shock. I mean, gave us some good time to create and, dial into more stories and, build more collaborative elements, but still, they're still missing something in terms of connecting with the audience.
Of course. Ashley, what about you?
I do about 3 to 5 a year, kind of depending on what's going on. As a writer, I don't feel like we don't have as much to offer at a convention. As an artist, like, I can't take commissions. I draw stick people. It's not fun. It is not a good turnout. So most of my time at panels is if I'm there appearing or as a guest. And often I'm not leaving California because California is a big state. And fortunately, the biggest con in the world is here, or at least the biggest con in North America is here. Right. Maybe the world was a bit extravagant. So yeah, I'd say about 5. And if you included library shows, libraries or something, because we do YA mostly, then if we included library shows, it'd probably be closer to 10.
Okay. Does that change anything for you, TJ?
I'm sorry. I mean, shoot, how do I respond to that? I mean, I would love to see her stick figures, honestly. Because, I mean, as an artist, I start with stick figers. So, I mean, that's kind of that's how it all began.
Pathetic.
Exactly.
They're pathetic.
Stop. So, Robert, now, being that this is like the first book and Immortal is just kind of coming through, have you guys done any conventions yet?
Yeah, we kind of started this year, and as a group we had not done conventions, but man, were we planning to, we of course we started when we started the Adept back in November. we were already geared to do a Kickstarter, but yeah, we had plans to hit the conventions, and obviously was not able to do that.
Gotcha. Ken, out of all the parts and pieces of First Entertainment and First Comics and everything, how many conventions do you guys do in a year?
The team does about 50. I do, like TJ, maybe 15. And we'll do anything. I mean, I've done San Diego for I think 31 in a row.
Nice.
And I don't count the year, that virtual thing. So
Right.
I'm keeping my streak alive. But I like to do small shows as well. They're a lot more intimate, and I think you get much better one-on-one contact with fans. I like doing panels. I have a couple of panels that I do where I'm the only one on the panel. It's easier.
It's the Ken show. The Ken show. Nothing wrong with that.
He's a wealth of information. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Like,
He's a trial lawyer. He's used to it.
Hey, that's some smart move, actually. John, do you do a lot of panels or conventions as well?
If you've heard of the writer Peter Gillis,
Of course.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He Black Flame, Strike Force Morituri, Black Panther, Eternals coming up. But so I sort of took on a mantle of working with him about 3 years ago. And I, developed a video game script that honestly, if we can get you guys all that in the next decade, that would be amazing. I just lost my video. Am I still here? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we still got you.
Okay. I don't see you, but okay. And so I went to about, I'd say for the past 3 years, I've been to about 7 or 8 a year.
Okay.
Obviously nothing yet for the board game. Before then I was only going as a fan.
That's not bad. That's part of the learning process. I think that's how we all started. For myself, if you include all the different comic book themed events, I'm in the 32 to 50 a year range. So I get exactly what that means, where you have to, be super visible. With Immortal Studios, we got a new player on the game. Immortal Studios is kind of the new kid on the block, with a new, project and everything. But TJ, and First Games, this is your first foray into crowdfunding. What was the appeal of doing it this way? Like, why? What was the draw to bring it to crowdfunding for you to start it off?
For me, yeah. I'm sorry. Were you going to start with Robert? Okay,
no,
sure. It's kind of an interesting thing because quite a few of my friends, which you are also friends with, Victor, they have Kickstarter as part of their business. And I think for me, when I started, over 5 years ago, Kickstarter wasn't a huge thing. So it was more like I just saved my money like a regular person, and then just, put out a book and paid my artists, all out of my own pocket every single year. And then I was like, well, why don't I try this Kickstarter thing? Why don't I give it a shot? Let me see if I can extend my reach into a different pool and, catch a different audience. Because there's so many people who are religious Kickstarter backers. I just got the super backer title the other day because I'm always doing campaigns myself. So now I see that there's this culture, and I'm like, maybe I can reach all of my existing fans throughout the United States and possibly some new people abroad, and maybe this new Kickstarter pool. And that was kind of my motivation.
Nice. I like that. Robert, what about you?
Yeah, I think so this idea of Immortal Studios has been percolating for a bit, and we looked at various models, but at the end of the day, this time around, one of the things that we really wanted to think about, most of our company we're based in Los Angeles, the majority of us, and we kind of come from traditional film and television. And we were looking around, and our founder and CEO Peter Shao, we saw what was happening here in Hollywood, and we were kind of looking for an alternative way, and that's what kind of first got us geared to crowdfunding. And really, one of the kind of strategic things that we try to do is really bring some aspects of like Silicon Valley entrepreneurship to these traditional gears of Hollywood, and this idea of getting like right to the crowd and right to a community was something that was really, really interesting to us. And so, as we kind of began to look at the landscape, looking at crowdfunding a little more closely, we went to a few cons in our early days. We were very influenced by people like Charlie Stickney, and that's kind of what first geared us up for Kickstarter.
Nice. And for those that don't know, Charlie is the writer for The Adept, right?
Yeah, Charlie co-wrote with Tasha Hu. The Adept was an original concept by Peter Shao and co-written by Charlie and Tasha Hu. Charlie also, I'm sure there might be a moment to speak more specifically about The Adept here, but Charlie was a real profound influence on us, not only obviously bringing his talent to the book, but also kind of being our gatekeeper into the Kickstarter world.
Love that. John, did you have a specific, outlook when it came to crowdfunding as to your business model?
Yeah, before we did The Boys, The Boys was a pipe dream about 2.5 years ago, as far as, even conceiving of asking Dynamite if we could make a game. And, we were looking at other first properties. I was, it was back in my beginning of trying this out. It was Badger, and Sable and Sure even. And we met a guy at, Chicago Comic-Con, and he was this big board game guy. He was like the guy who was running the whole, and he was like very successful and everything. And he told us right away, straight up, that, that's the way board games get done nowadays. You just do it through crowdfunding. And then because you've got this big manufacturing cost, and there's no how many your units are, and it's much easier with the production value and how long it takes to produce it, the way that everybody does it. So that's how we ended up at Kickstarter, I think, is it was just a way to do it. I don't think we ever gave it another thought. I think 2.5 years ago, that's what we always planned on doing. We always we just road to go, I think.
That's awesome. Ken, did you want to add to that at all, or did he cover it?
Well, I think we lost the opportunity to connect before you locked your game with fans at like Gen Con, which is where we were ultimately going to roll it out. And so by doing it with a Kickstarter and having fans be able to try the game through Tabletop Simulator, we got a lot of really interesting feedback, and some we were able to incorporate into the game right away, which we would have been able to do at conventions like Gen Con, but because that was blocked,
lost to us, right?
That's been the thing that's been most interesting to me, surprising to me, because I've not been a Kickstarter person in the past, is this dialogue that you get on the fly, that you're able to address, while you're really in the creative process.
Of course. For me, I was always like kind of anti-Kickstarter as well. It wasn't a platform that I fully understood. So trying to do it this year, I tried things that I thought were more in line with how I approach comic book making, keeping tight scales of things and trying that out. But it was really that lack of that interaction with general people at conventions that I was like, okay, I better try this, or else I'm not coming up with new content this year, and that's not any good. Crowdfunding by definition is about community, and I want to know how you built yours, and did the scale of the campaign or even your stature in the community have a factor in that? And Ashley, I want to start with you, if you don't mind.
So I just didn't get to answer the previous question. So Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio, that's actually our 5th crowdfunding campaign. And I just wanted to bring that up because it's so funny that we're talking about the Adept and Charlie specifically, because after volume 1 was when Charlie was prepping White Ash, and Jason Inman, my co-writer on Jupiter Jet, I know it helped Charlie. And then Charlie has just like destroyed the Kickstarter game. And I think he does the community building so well. So it's been really interesting to like watch his rise, where like we were sort of giving advice initially, and now we are turning to him for advice because he does such a good job at like knocking into that Kickstarter infrastructure, because we started in a very different place. When we ran our initial crowdfunding campaign was for a web series that we were doing called The Red Shirt Diaries. So if you want to see me play the lowest ranked member on the Star Trek Starship Enterprise, check that out. Captain Kirk appears many times. We did that, and then Jupiter Jet was our first comic Kickstarter. But going into that, combined, because I do that under Jason Inman's account and his umbrella, because he has more followers than me, we have combined about 45,000, 50,000 Twitter followers. And then had been doing our podcast before that. So we already had an audience going into that. So when people come to crowdfunding brand new, like I don't know how to give advice for that because we already had an audience that was willing to put money on the line. And that, or when you come with a property like The Boys or something a little more recognizable, that changes the game in a way that like Charlie had to work way harder than us. And he did. And he has outstripped us because he went into it not having as many followers, not having a platform. But there's a great rule about social media, and BJ Mendelsohn talks about it a lot in his Social Media is Bullshit book, that your reasonable expectation number of your followers who will support you monetarily is 2%. And let me tell you, friends, is that ever true? So you can get a solid 2% who are like, here's, let's say $25, right? Like, here's a reasonable amount of money that I can give you that I won't miss. And then the trick being from there to build, like TJ was alluding to, into that pre-existing Kickstarter, because if TJ donated to The Adept, there's a chance he'll donate to Jupiter Jet. Or if he donated to Trouble with Love, there's a chance he'll donate to Jupiter Jet. So then we all get in our DMs and say, hey, would you post the thing about how great I am? And then maybe TJ will come over and give me his $25. And that is like the weird sort of gamifying of the infrastructure. But what is so wonderful about that is whether you have 50,000 online followers, 50 million, or 50 flat out, if you're willing to do the work, because Kickstarter is egalitarian, people will come if it's good and if it hits at the right time. Like, let's not pretend that timing isn't everything. Never run your Kickstarter the weeks of Christmas. Never launch it that week. That is a bad idea. Launch it on Wednesday. That's New Comic Book Day, and launch it when the paycheck is coming, because that's economics. But if you are willing to take the time to sort of do that structural work, you can have a lot of success with just the power of your idea.
I love that. I love that. TJ, you want to talk about the building of your community base?
Absolutely. Mine was basically grassroots. I mean, I started going to conventions back in like 2005. As a fan, as just a wannabe creator, a wannabe artist, a wannabe writer, all that stuff. And I spent so much time building one-on-one relationships with, people at DC, and then Marvel, and then Aspen, and just regular artists. I mean, Jeffrey Chamba Cruz was a guy that I used to run with years ago, because back in the early 2000s, he hadn't been discovered yet.
Right.
But he was so good that it was like, he was right. He was this close to getting discovered. Then he gets picked up by, I think it was Udon, and then he did all that stuff with Capcom. So it's like this being around the industry, and again, building genuine relationships really kind of got my foot in the door. And then when I started actually publishing comics 10 years later in 2015, I was again going to different shows. Like San Diego Comic-Con was my first convention, and then I kind of gravitated all throughout the United States, doing different shows and building pockets of fans in those areas. And then 5 years later, because I've done so much, they're just like, oh hey, I'm not going to see you for a while. Who knows? It could be years. So what do you got next? I need something. And It was like, okay, let me tap into those people that are on my email list. Let me tap into the people who I know personally on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. And it was like constant reminders, direct messages, everything I could to remind them, hey, I've got something. And then please share it so your friends, your family, everybody who likes comics, and even the smallest faction can get into this and try it. And it turned out to be pretty gold for us.
Nice. Very nice. John, Ken, you guys kind of have come in with an established property, but did that have an effect on how you built the community around this game?
It had an effect in the sense that we didn't want to lean on the people that are making the television show. We're still waiting for Canada to say, yeah, come on in. And it looks like we'll start producing in February after a minimum of 14-day true isolation for everybody.
Right.
So we've got some gamers, and they've asked about it. And at some point we will let them get involved. But this is very much based on the 7 years of writing that Garth did, starting in 2006. So we really wanted Dynamite Entertainment to be our direct partners on this. And they've been great. And I mean, there's no question it's been a learning experience.
Of course.
I think our people have been pleasantly surprised, unhappily unsurprised, whatever.
And to Ashley's point, you have very cleverly made your campaign end the week of Christmas, not start the week of Christmas, which is a gift unto itself. John, did you want to add to that?
We started the week of Thanksgiving.
Right.
One of our consultants said it'll be great because everybody has nothing to do. They can't be with family. They won't have anything to do. And Monday went fine. Tuesday went fine. Wednesday went fine. And Thursday, nothing.
Wow.
And nothing for 10 days. It was like,
Gone.
it's Thanksgiving.
Learning experience, huh?
Oh, really?
Of course. Robert, what about you guys? Did you look at a certain formula considering that your property is brand new, the studio is brand new? How did you build the community? And let me just give this shout out. Like, you guys funded, what is it, over 300% of your goal?
Yeah, we hit 350% of our goal. Yeah, we were amazed with the results. I mean, yes, we were new to it. Obviously, Charlie was very much not new, and Charlie, as Ashley described, did a lot of work for us in terms of bringing his community to it. But the thing is it's absolute work, and I don't know what Kickstarter might have been like even a year or 2 years ago when some of the others were getting started there. But I feel like there's even been a sea change in this past year, particularly in kind of this COVID moment. That there's nothing casual about it, like TJ was saying, you have to engage the people you can engage however you can, whether it's over social or direct, and that's what we did through people that we worked with, from the founder of our company, to Charlie, to Tasha. We were all gearing our people to be there on day one, because that day one is also, as we learned, a very kind of important period to hit, because it kind of kicks everything in motion for you throughout the campaign, particularly in that first week. So what we were really focused on was how can we engage our community for that first bite. But look, yeah, we did our research. Like, we not only was it a new company, a first book. Wuxia as a genre obviously is not readily known to a lot of people, but we spent a lot of time looking at campaigns. Ashley, we looked at Jupiter Jet. We were looking at how people set up their tiers, how their pages were designed, how long should our video be, how many pages of art should we put up, trying to make sure we were kind of hitting all those beats and those standards of the community.
Very nice, very nice. Now, obviously, to piggyback on that whole concept, the learning curve, what all have you learned, kind of looking back on your campaign? How successful were the different tricks and things that you've tried to put in there?
Always charge more for shipping than you think you need. Because no matter what you do, USPS is sure going to hike them international prices, even if you hit your ship by goal.
Especially next time we have a pandemic moment, right? I mean, I think anyone who launched this year knows that shipping went like this, and delivery times went like this, right? Yeah, look, we were on learnings. We were really geared for that day one, week one. One of the really interesting things that I've seen over this past year, one of the biggest learnings that I've had is, like, how can you really engage some of the other creators? At this point, when we were doing our research, we went in and we liked a bunch of people's pages and even reached out and asked people to follow us. But now how I most learn about Kickstarter campaigns is not necessarily going to that first page and doing a little bit of surfing, but I get like 10 emails every day that saying, Ashley just supported this, Charlie Stickney just supported this, Ryland Grant just supported this. And these are all people that we've grown to admire. And so when they're backing campaigns, those are campaigns I go to look at. So, I think one of the things that I learned that we would probably try to improve upon next time around is how can you engage some of the other creators in the community? Because everyone, at least for us, everyone's been really helpful, really willing to like give their advice and what they've learned. And also when your campaign comes around, kicking their people over to you. So that's been great for us.
Anybody else want to jump in on that one? Since your campaigns are done, we'll specifically save the current woes for John and Ken.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could just kind of chime in and say that keeping the momentum up was something I was learning because I had this kind of strategy of setting the goal, being very modest with the goal, just like say, hey, I just need to print this, issue 4 of this series. So that's only X amount of dollars. So let me ask for a low number, but we hit the number within 2 hours. So, and that whole momentum that day was like skyrocketing the number. So we were almost at 10K the first day. And it's like, how do I continue to keep that momentum up going for the next 29 days of the actual thing,
right.
which is incredibly difficult. It's something I was, I wasn't sleeping barely any day I was sleeping. I was dreaming about Kickstarter. What do I do next? What do I do next? And it's like, I'm thinking outside the box. I'm talking to every person I know. I mean, I got on the news to talk about Kickstarter.
Right.
No, I've never even seen another creator do that. Not saying that they haven't. I haven't seen it personally, but I'm trying my absolute best to do anything I can that's just outside the box to grab different people. And it was just a constant, the fatigue level kind of jumped in. And that was also something I was kind of dealing with, which I heard about, but never experienced it until I actually did the campaign. But man, it was so good to feel when it was over. Wow.
TJ, I'm so glad you
what was effective? What in that 29 days, what were the things that were effective to keep momentum going that you found?
I found posting in groups. Obviously I went live almost 2 or 3 times a week. So I was on live on Facebook, or live on IG. So it was like constantly engaging people. I was doing tons of podcast interviews. I mean, I had on average maybe 2 or 3 a day, every day for the every week for the entire show, campaign.
Right.
Yeah. And what else was really, really effective? I mean, I was dropping new art too. Like I had all of these like small like sketches, whether it was sketches or preliminary stuff. I had, small pinup pieces that I had done specifically for the book. So I almost had a new piece of art to drop every week, which was kind of like, oh, hey, take a look at this really great piece of art by this really amazing artist. And then they could share it on their page and it went viral with their fans. And it was just kind of like, how do I keep the interest peaked? And I think new art was definitely helpful, but also just thinking outside the box as much as possible.
Nice. Ashley, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that I'm so glad TJ brought up the idea of how you set your goal and thinking modestly, because particularly when you are new to Kickstarter or when you are shifting focus, like the first crowdfunding campaign we ran was for a web series, and then we shifted into comic books, and then we shifted from a comic series to a graphic novel, and people assign a value to you in their brains when they look at your project. And that's arbitrary. It doesn't mean anything. It's not a comment on you or the quality of your product, but sometimes I see these campaigns and they're new people and they're asking for $50,000, $100,000. And I have no doubt all of us could use $50,000 or $100,000 to do a campaign effectively. Like that money goes so quickly, but the perceived value of you, particularly as a new creator, versus your product is real. And that is another part of like the Kickstarter reality is if you just ask for what you need, that will get you really far, because funding, once you funded, it's easy to fund and a half, to double fund, to triple fund, because once it's hit 100%, the Kickstarter economy is more likely to back because they know it's going to happen. Right. Or if you have 3 or 4 projects under your belt, you'll fund faster and faster every time because you've shown that you can get your product out in a reasonable amount of time. And that is like a weird headspace to be in. Like when we run our crowdfunding campaigns for the comics, it is just to pay the artists and the creatives and the editors and the publicists behind the book. I don't take a page rate. My writing partner doesn't take a page rate. We don't make any money. And then And like that, we do that because it's more important that the book happens and that the people who literally have to not have a day job in order to make that happen get compensated accordingly. And like, that is a weird thing to try to explain sometimes to people as well. But I'm glad that TJ was like, I just asked for the bare minimum I need. And clearly you crushed it because you shot at a reasonable level instead of saying, give me $100,000, because you could start a whole company with $100,000.
Right. And speaking of first games, since you guys are currently having your campaign, what are some of the ups and downs that you guys have experienced?
COVID was brutal, man. If anybody out there has experience making a board game, and this being my first complete official game, the most important thing is getting random strangers to play your game. I am the best player on the planet at the boys. This is going to hurt. I am so good at the game. I played against famous Hollywood royalty, the Ewan twins, last night. Observe and Report and The Shield and just hundreds of stuff, actually. And I smoked Homelander in an extremely game. We've got, quite a few things. Three main things could RNG you, and we had a tough game. But I'm so good. I mean, I smoked it. And we had no one. We had all these plans. We were going to C2E2 with sign-up sheets. We were going to get, the 100 random lucky strangers. We're going to play our game. We were going to do that 2 or 3 times, and I have, since we've put our game onto Kickstarter as a TTS download, Tabletop Simulator download, you can play our game. And then the interactions I've gotten with the public that have been playing it that way has been like the most, random. And they are things that dramatically change your game. They probably would have been back in March when we would have done this, because we've had dramatic changes since then. So there would have been lots of impressive, but really significant things where I know there's people out there who are looking at stuff, and us who have had eyes on it over and over and over again, stop seeing it. And then these people read it and they're like, wait, what does this mean? And you're like, oh no, what do you mean? What does this mean? Oh God, I got to fix your hole or your game's ruined. Yeah, definitely playtests for me were the killer. Yeah,
I mean, that's a really good point. And it's interesting because we've got a comment here. Let's see, Matthew, I hope I'm saying this right. Creek is asking, what stage of development in the game design should you be at before you start crowdfunding? What do you have in terms of thoughts on that?
That I've met a lot of game designers since they're making this game, and it sort of all depends on what your trajectory is. There's a lot of different valuations you can make to the cost of your game, as the profit that you're making from it and what that value is to you. Are you trying to make a company that goes forward and make more games? Or are you just trying to make your game as it is? Or are you trying to make that concept into its own franchise? I think that in our case, we wanted to make sure that our game was extremely fun. We had, the sculptors lined up, but as far as like exploding our concept, I mean, we would love to, but we wanted to get out there as a company that makes good games and isn't gonna, ignore the important things that a game should have, like good miniatures, and in expansions, we'll go off the wall if we have to, but I think your answer is, do you need the money to fund your game? Depends on how expensive your game is in the first point. But the fun thing about Kickstarter, as far as making board games, is you can order the amount of copies that you want, and it happens that way. So if so you can keep yourself sort of even in that. So if you're aspiring to make a board game, other than the time you commit and some advertising costs, there is a little bit of minimal risk to it. So, I mean, I would highly encourage people, but I would say you kind of just do it naturally. Wherever you are, when you decide this is where I'm at, this is all I can do, this is what I've got, help me out, let's go. And in our case, it being the boys, we knew we needed a game. We needed to be good as far as the game goes. And so, yeah.
No, that's very well said. I apologize. We have gone through our time like super quick. Even I had like 2 or 3 questions left to ask you guys. So we'll have to do this some other time. But as we get out of here, I want to give you guys the opportunity. And Robert, I'm going to start with you to give a shout out for where people can follow you on social media, a quick word about your book, and maybe the next thing that you have coming up for people to check out. So Robert, go for it.
Totally. So yeah, let me just throw 3 things. First off, we have a website, immortal-studios.com, a lot of info there. We are coming back to Kickstarter in February for our next book. Like I said, we're doing this interconnected universe. So we have a new title, Chronicles of the Immortal Swordsman. If you like Matrix, it's kind of got a sci-fi thing to it. Very excited about that. And then one more thing is that we have kind of extended this idea of crowdfunding beyond just one comic book, and we're even doing a dance with it in our corporate funding as well. So we're on this site called WeFunder. Check that out as well. Immortal.studios on WeFunder. Thanks for having us.
No, absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Ashley, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ashley V. Robinson. The V is very important. Ashley Robinson is a tall WNBA player. I don't want to fight for SEO. Please follow her too. I'm sure she's absolutely lovely. But please tweet me cute pictures of Tim Drake Robin, the greatest superhero of all time. You can find Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio, and Science, the Elements of Dark Energy, anywhere fine comic books are found. If you would like a signed, personalized version, see Victor's cool, he got his early. He's a Kickstarter backer. You can get signed, personalized versions at jasoninman.com/store. Jason is my writing partner, so it's all coming from the same apartment. Don't even worry about it. All the money's getting split equitably. And be sure to follow myself and Jason on Kickstarter. Jason's new project, Book Best Friend, which the patrons know about, no one else knows about, will be launching on Kickstarter January 19th. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And then subscribe to the Geek History Lesson podcast. There's 350 free episodes. You owe me. Go listen to it.
Get it. There you go. TJ.
Oh man, that's a tough promo to follow. That was incredible. So again, thank you for having me on, everybody. It's been a pleasure just to hear you talk and just learn more about this Kickstarter thing. Again, my name is TJ Sterling, president, lead artist of a company called Ray Comics, RAE Comics. You can find me at Ray Comics on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If you want to message me personally, I'm at TJ Sterling Art. My book is a book called Okemos. If anybody can see it, sci-fi martial art action story about a young guy that has a latent superhuman ability that could potentially save the human race. Mash up between martial arts, sci-fi, time travel, all the great stuff I loved growing up as a kid in the 90s. If you like that type of stuff, it's a great book. Again, super easy to find me, raycomics.com, raecomics.com.
I love it. I love it. John, Ken, you want to wrap that up?
Well, the Kickstarter is live right now.
Mm-hmm.
We greatly appreciate you all checking it out. I think if you do, you'll find something you like. We're very proud of it. First Comics has a website and social media. First Games has a website and social media. Stretch goals that I think we've hit is a 25% off coupon for Dynamite for all of their books.
That's dope.
So if you missed The Boys or missed part of it, or you haven't gotten Dear Becky, and they publish a lot of other terrific stuff, that's a good deal. And my guess is the next game we're going to do, which we were sort of in the middle of before we got diverted by The Boys, it has a tendency to do that IP, is Shatter, which is one of the classic First Comics graphic novels by Peter B. Gillis. And Peter is working on a prequel book. And then he and John really connected, I think, first by wanting to do a tabletop game. So we'll get back to that as soon as we're done with this. But Victor, to you and everybody at Wizard, we're really grateful that you had us on with these other terrific people. There's something energizing about being with really creative people who love what they do, and by hook or crook succeed, and that's where we're at the moment.
Absolutely.
So thank you all.
Thank you.
I just want to shout out, if I got a second.
Yeah, of course.
Again, the only thing I can say about playing a board game is you got to enjoy it, and we believe in what we did here. We know it's the biggest property ever or whatever, and then we're a brand new board game company and all that, but we are avid, passionate. We believe in what we did. We didn't do this for any other reason than we wanted this to be it this way and right. We got into it for that reason. And please jump on our Kickstarter. If you have Tabletop Simulator, every one of you, any one of you, I'd be happy to play the game with you. you just gotta email us, which is very easy to do, and we'll show you the ropes, or we'll teach you how to beat Homelander, or we'll give you a good battle.
I love it. I love it. I'm taking you up on that challenge. I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring, and you and I are gonna play. We're gonna see what's what and who's who. It's gonna go down. All the Kickstarter links are in the chat, so guys, feel free to go back, check out those campaigns, follow them on Kickstarter. That's a great way to stay up on all the things that they've got coming, and it sounds like there is more coming. You want this. For the Wizard World side, I gotta say, please check out all our upcoming panels. We got a partnership with Immortal Studios coming up, where we're gonna showcase a lot more of their stuff. We got a big campaign next year that we're gonna do. It's gonna be fantastic. Also, the boys, this is going to hurt. This is such a cool game. We're gonna have a showcase for that coming up as well. It's gonna be amazing. Once again, thank you guys for bringing your time, your energy, your talent to this virtual panel. It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you guys. I learned a lot. Literally, I have my kid down here taking notes the whole time. So it's just what you got to do when you have children. You make them work. But once again, I'm Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics. You guys can follow me at Vantage In-House on all forms of social media. And if you guys have any further questions, feel free to ask them to follow up beyond the panel. I'm sure that they're willing to share their cookbook a bit with you, and we can all learn and grow together. Once again, you guys have been fantastic. Please tune in later on this evening. We are doing a special international version of the Gotham panel. It's going to be amazing. It's going to cater to the Asian market. I do believe we're specifically focusing on Japan this time. So we're going to have a translator. It's going to be amazing. Tune in. It's fantastic. I think that's going to be, 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I think that's where it falls. Wherever it falls, where you are in the world, tune in. It's going to be amazing. Hey! I knew it. That's the voice of God, y'all. Once again, I'm Victor Dandridge. Thank you, Wizard World, for bringing us all together. You guys have been fantastic. Till next time.
Peace.
My name is Peter Shao. I'm the founder and CEO of Immortal Studios. I'm also the son of Xiao Yi, the American Puma, one of the greatest voices of the wuxia genre. In fact, I'm sitting here today in the Xiao Yi library, where many of his memorable works were created. Even though my father passed away before fulfilling our dream to bring wuxia to the 21st century, the time has come for me to continue in this legacy. Our first release, The Adept, is a story of redemption and homecoming about a modern woman being trained to be a hero in the Shaolin Kung Fu tradition. Her journey to bring her family back together with a pop star parallels competing martial clans and the unifying powers of Great Qi, the underlying energy of it all. So this is just the beginning. As I reawaken the hero within me to go on this immortal adventure, I want to invite you along.
Oi, you lot finally decided to show up. So, I guess you heard the news then, eh? All these soups are nothing but a bunch of and the company that made them lost control of the biggest, most powerful one of all. Homelander. Oi, look at me. I'm a brat in spandex, and I think I'm so important. Zap, pow. You get the drift. If you don't know by now, name's Butcher, Billy Butcher. And me and my team, the boys, work off the books for your lot at the CIA to keep these w***ers in check. Fort American, those greedy, fat, soulless, arrogant pricks bit off way more than they could chew with this one. They've been pumping babies full of Compound V, turning Goo-Goos and Gagas into superpowered like Black Noir, A-Train and Queen Maeve. Well, not even them will be able to stop Homelander. At least not by themselves. You all will need to recruit an army to take down that megalomaniac slag Homelander. I've worked it out with the boys in the CIA to give you some resources, including where these blokes are, some blackmail on them, cash, missions, even some Compound V. Your job is to convince these wankers to join your team by bribing them, blackmailing them, or just plain beating the out of them. Watch out though. Some of these twits won't come easily, and you'll have to worry about the other agents as well, thinking they want the glory of taking down Homelander. Speaking of which, to be clear, if you lot can't take down Earth's mightiest in time, we're all